Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome along to Donington Park for the final round of the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. Whilst in the real world, racing is about to return. In the virtual world, we've got our final round of the championship this evening from Donington Park. The 2.5 mile, or just over 4 kilometre Grand Prix circuit will decide over the course of the two 20-minute races that we'll see who's going to be crowned the inaugural British Formula 3 iRacing champion. Joining me in the commentary box once more is Jack Cunnan. Jack, round 5, or the 5th race meeting we've had, a championship to be decided. 4 drivers mathematically could still win.
Exactly, so we're in for a good one today. Now, mathematically speaking, the ones that are more likely to be in the championship fight are, of course, Nico Verone and Piers Pryor. But again, Piers Pryor's got something ahead of him. He's really got to overhaul a big points gap. The points gap at the moment is 25 points, with Verone leading the title ahead of Piers Pryor. So there's a lot of work that Pryor needs to do, but he's been consistent. So if he can keep that up, he might be able to bring the challenge to Nico Verone, but it's going to be really difficult considering Verone has just been on the same kind of consistency week after week.
Yeah, 35 points for a race win. The gap from Verone to Piers Pryor, as you said, is 25. But the gap from Piers Pryor to Harrison Scott, who's 4th in the championship, is 45 points. So mathematically, Harrison Scott, who is still driving with a broken right wrist, so he's driving one-handed on his rig, could win it. Ulysse de Pauw lies 4th in the championship. He is 70 points behind Nico Verone. There are 70 points available, so mathematically he could still win it. If he were to win both races, Nico Verone non-scoring both races, they'd be tied on points, subject to what Piers Pryor and Harrison Scott do. They would also be tied on 3 wins. You'd then go to countback, and Ulysse de Pauw would have 1 second place, and Verone would have none if that were the scenario. So mathematically could be done, but crumbs, the stars would really have to be aligned for Ulysse de Pauw from Douglas Motorsport to claim the championship. We'll find out over the course of the next couple of races. So Jack Cunnan joins me in commentary, but I want to bring in our first guest of this evening, if we can, because he is a man who has been fundamental behind BRDC Formula 3 over the years. It's Giles Butterfield, who is the Group Operations and Engineering Manager for Motorsport Vision and BRDC F3. Giles, welcome along to the final championship round, and it's great the enthusiasm that the teams and drivers have had to keep the competition of British Formula 3 going through this extended off-season has been fantastic, and down to the hard work of you and your team down there at MSV.
Yeah, good evening, Mark. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's been a really interesting evolution for British F3. Thanks to a bit of a push from Wayne Douglas and Gemma Stevenson at Douglas Motorsport. We kicked this initiative off just as the lockdown sort of phase began, and no, it's been absolutely tremendous. Actually, I'm delighted with the way it's turned out. I think it's something that we can really carry forward with us to the winter when it's all a bit too dark and a bit too dreary to be out there racing. So yeah, I mean, delighted we've done it. Thanks very much to John Cavill for his support. He's been instrumental in making all this happen.
He absolutely has, yeah. And we're going to have John Cavill presenting the Jack Cavill Trophy to our champion later on. I know for you and your team there, Giles, the same as it has been for me. Less so for people like Jack Cunnan and Apex Racing TV who know iRacing, but it's been a journey of exploration and a steep old learning curve, hasn't it, for all of us?
Yes, it has, Mark. But Claire Britcher and the team at MSV have done a great job. They've really stuck with it. Yeah, the term steep learning curve probably isn't, understates it slightly. But everyone's worked jolly hard and stuck with it. And I think the results have been tremendous. We've seen some great racing, some great performances. And hopefully Donington will be a fitting venue to round things up tonight. And we can see some good, clean racing. And yeah, can anyone beat Nico Verone? That's the question, isn't it?
Oh, he's been Mr. Consistency. I mean, you look at, we're talking BRDC F3, but you look at British Formula 3 generally through all of its eras and guises. That's played a pivotal role in so many young drivers' careers, including the CEO of Motorsport Vision, Jonathan Palmer, and yourself as well, of course. And you look at BRDC F3, and that continues that tradition with the drivers that have come through it over the years, the likes of 2 former champions, Jack Russell racing for Williams, Formula 1 now, and doing very well in the esports series. Matthias Leist, who's doing great things over in America, still staying with sports cars, but other drivers that have left the single-seat route and gone into sports car careers, the likes of Ross Gunn and Seb Morris. And it's still doing it to this day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the 80s and 90s, my gosh, that's a long time ago. The single-seater market was a bit less congested than it is these days, but F3 has always delivered in terms of providing a fantastic foothold on the way up the ladder to the top. When it was really Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1, it was,
Yeah.
in the British Formula 3 Championship was a virtual guarantee of a drive in F1 at some point. It's not quite so straightforward these days, but no, you're right. BRDC F3 has been terrific at picking and attracting good drivers to the series. And as has been so evident in the McLaren, formerly and latterly Aston Martin um, Autosport BRDC awards process, we've really put some great drivers into that, and they've absolutely excelled themselves and gone on to, as you mentioned just now, bigger and better things, which is what it's all about. It's tremendous to see.
This year, we're not that far away from going racing for real. So Formula 3 moving forward, you just this week announced a new calendar and a new format that's going to see some revised race formats. We're used to 3 races over the course of a weekend, but you're managing to get squeeze 4 into some of the events, which will be, a logistical issue for the teams, but they will grab it with open arms because they want to go racing.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. We've all got some challenges to face over the next few months, but we've been very determined to try and get the full number of rounds back in the championship. It's very important to the teams and the drivers to do that. So yeah, we've had to be a little bit creative and imaginative. It's going to be hectic on those 4 race weekends for sure. But I think everyone's up for it. I've spoken to many team managers about the format. Everyone seems to be relishing the challenge, actually, which is tremendous. And yeah, we'll all be delighted to get back on the pit wall with the wind in our hair and, to hear the noises and smell the smells that we all love and are all part of what we do.
And the final question from me for the moment, Jack may well have one that he wants to pitch in with. 2020 car changes for 2020. We've seen this sort of evolution from the old Van Diemen car, the Ralph Furman built car when it was BRDC Formula 4, through to the Tatius built chassis. But now for 2020, you're introducing some more changes, revised bodywork. We've got that new Mount Tune engine, plus some safety improvements as well. So BRDC F3 as a championship continues to evolve, but it still has those fundamental ethos that it was built on, of providing a competitive, a professional, and a powerful single-seater championship at affordable cost. And in the current climate, that's probably even more important.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Tatus had done a great job with the car for us. But after 3 years, we thought, well, perhaps it's time for a little bit of evolution. We sat down with the teams at the back end of last year and had a bit of a chat about what we'd like to do, what they'd like. So yeah, we've evolved the car a little bit over the winter. It is evolution, not revolution. The car looks, I think, a bit more grown up than it used to, which is terrific. We've also increased the amount of downforce on the car and just rebalanced the aero package slightly to give people a bit more setup variation, which the drivers and the teams were both keen to have. Engine-wise, Cosworth did a great job for us. They're really hectic with the Valkyrie program at the moment, so in discussion with them and Mount Tune, eventually we decided to opt to have a change and go with Mount Tune this year. Perhaps a fraction more performance, but really we at this point in time are looking for reliability and equality, and they're absolutely paramount in this championship, as well as you mentioned, affordability. And if ever there was a time for affordable motorsport being desirable, it's now. And we hope that British F3 will actually expand a little and be popular with drivers over the next year or two, and we may even see some new teams joining the series as well.
Oh, I sincerely hope so. Well, thanks for joining us, Giles. All the very best for the BRDC Formula 3 Championship 2020 season, which kicks off, memory serves me correctly, 1st and 2nd of August at Oulton Park.
Absolutely, yeah, no problem at all. We look forward to seeing everybody there, and yeah, should have a great season ahead. Really looking forward to it.
There we go. Thanks a lot. There we go. Charles Butterfield, who is the Group Operations and Engineering Manager for Motorsport Vision, for Palmer Sport, and for the BRDC Formula 3 Championship. So, end of free practice is about 7 minutes away now. So, if we look at what's going on in free practice, might give us an indication as to who's going to be the ones to watch out for in what is a very short and sharp qualifying session. Well, Yulisa Pau tops the times at the moment in free practice session, and he is Jack Canaan, who still remains with me in commentary, one of the drivers that mathematically could win the championship. He needs a good evening, he needs good luck, and well, at the moment he's putting in good times.
Yeah, I think he needs more than a look. I think he needs a prayer of some kind for him to be anywhere near competitive. But again, stranger things have happened, but he is currently leading the practice standings at the moment, but it's very, very close. Ben Hingley, second, 121.033, and Harrison Scott, 121.070. So there's a 500th of a second between those top three, and it was just interesting to note, possibly something to look out for in qualifying. The last hairpin here, Goddard's, the drivers have been using all of the runoff area to try and get a run through the last corner. So it's been interesting to see. They're even trying to find the limits right here. Obviously, of course, there is off tracks as well. But it's interesting to see that they're trying everything to try and get the most out of the car.
They've got to be careful with those off tracks, though. Ben Hingley, who is currently second quickest in free practice, has had 21 off tracks during the 1 hour free practice session. Well, the race is at 20 minutes. You are only allowed 20 off tracks in that 20 minutes. Otherwise, you will face a disqualification. And we have seen a few drivers fall foul of that over the course of the 2020 British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV as well. So we go on board with Nico Veroni down through the daunting Craner curves in towards the right-hander at the old hairpin. Amazing how quick it is, actually, the old hairpin. Then from there, start head uphill through the sweeping left-hander at Schwant's curve, grab the curb, brake in a straight line, pitch the car in towards McLean's corner, and then one of the very difficult corners on the circuit, blind entry, double apex right-hander in towards Coppice, apex the first, don't worry about the apex on the second one, let the car drift out wide, accelerate down the straight, and then you're into that tight and twisty element through the Fogarty S's, where they then head onto the Grand Prix loop. It's a circuit again, Jack, that if you're in the zone and you're in that zone and it almost becomes effortless, but once you start to make a small mistake at Donington, it really can compromise the speed of the car. It's a quick old circuit, really, isn't it?
It's very fast. So you've got obviously I think an average of about 110 miles an hour around here. It's very, very fast down the back straight, down to the Craner curves. We'll see. It's a good lap so far from Veroni. That's about as good as you'll get right there as he comes across the line. He's only lying 6th at the moment. I wonder if he's going to be able to improve on his position there. 121.18. No, 121.698. So that's for reference. That was nearly 7/10 of a second off of the fastest time. So it shows you how quickly Yulisa Pau, Ben Hingley, Harrison Scott are actually going around this circuit as well. Now, of course, he has to get tyres up to temperature. He's got to get the engine up to temperature as well. He's got to get his eye in. The track, of course, evolves as well. Got a track temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, so kind of right in the middle. It's not too hot, not too cold. So they should be able to get tyres up to temperature. It will take a little while for them to get up to temperature, but it should give them optimal grip around this circuit as well. We look at Ben Hingley, who's actually not doing a bad job. I'm really impressed with his performance so far.
Yeah, Ben's been going really, really well over the course of this season. Hasn't had the luck all of the times, but he is another driver that, has done really well in the past in BRDC Formula 3. He finished third in the championship back in 2017 for Fortec Motorsport. Took 4 wins along the way that year, he did. He is out racing in the Fortec car this evening as well, Ben Hingley. So we'll see as to whether he can start to work his way up through the championship order, because he's a driver that, really sort of hasn't had the luck. He's had a top 6 is his best finish. In race number 1 at Silverstone, he finished 6th. He's had, another 3 top 10 finishes on top of that, but hasn't been to the podium as yet. So he would desperately like to finish the season on a high. There's only 3 minutes remaining of the free practice session. You mentioned there a little bit about the circuit evolving and rubbering up. So for people that aren't familiar with iRacing, or maybe they're just tuning in for the first time, just tell us a little bit more about that, Jack, and how the dynamic works inside this game.
Well, of course, if you're familiar with real-life racing as well, you know that there is a racing line around any circuit in particular. And you'll see dark patches on the circuit as well. That is the most used part of the circuit. So as the race goes on, more and more rubber gets laid down off the tyres on that line, which makes it extremely grippy. So the longer you go into a session, when you start off in the session, it's going to be very, very, very slippery because there's not much rubber down. But as you progress through the session, then of course the tires get warmer and more rubber gets put down. But of course it makes going off the racing line even more treacherous because you've got the dust and all the marbles get laid out on the outside. So really, the further you get into the race, the more precise you have to be. You cannot afford to run off the racing line because you get a bag of understeer, the rear is going to step away from you, and especially getting on the grass as well is not going to help you. Of course, the tires do get dirty if you run off onto the grass, and it does take a little while for the grass to wear off, and that could be very, very costly. So it's very important that you'll see the fastest times come later on in the session as the tires get up to temperature, the engines get up to temperature, and the track gets more and more rubbered in.
That's absolutely as we would see in real life as well. We're now into the final minute and a half of this free practice session. If you're on a lap and it gets to the 1 hour mark, it's tough. Everybody ends up back in the pit lane and we get qualifying underway. And qualifying short and sharp as well. You know, it's only 2 laps qualifying, and we've seen some of the drivers be really consistent in qualifying and get a good lap in nice and early and better it in their second lap. We've seen totally the converse from other drivers who didn't quite nail the first lap, pushed even harder on the second and made mistakes and then started at the back of the grid. So you've got to be precise, even more precise in qualifying, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely, because when you only got those 2 laps, you cannot afford to run off the track in any kind of way. And if you touch the grass or you run out onto the off track, you will pick up a 1x, which will invalidate your lap, which is not what you want when you have only a small window to get your time in. But also as well, you've only got really 1 lap to try and get tires and engine and all that up to temperature as well, which is after chatting with a lot of drivers, is actually probably the most challenging thing. Is not the actual qualifying lap itself, is trying to get heat in the tires, because if you don't have heat in the tires, then it's going to cost you big time, especially in those high speed sections of the Craner curves and all the way down to the old hairpin. If you don't have a car that's up to temperature, you're really going to suffer.
So we're looking at Piers Pryor at the moment. Piers lies second in the championship standing. He's a driver who has signed to race for Lannon Racing this year. It will be his first full season of car racing. He's been so consistent in the BRDC Formula 3 Championship iRacing series in association with Apex Racing TV, but he needs to overhaul what is a 25-point deficit. Checkered flag is out, so the cars will be heading into qualifying soon. So for Piers Pryor, the task ahead of him in race number 1 is that if Nico Verone wins the race, Piers Pryor has to finish second to keep the championship alive, right the way down to if Verone finishes, say, in 6th place, then as long as Piers is 13th or higher, the championship still stays alive. So there's lots of points permutations. And even Harrison Scott, who lies 3rd in the championship, if Verone either wins or finish seconds, then it doesn't matter what happens in race number 2. Harrison Scott cannot be the champion. We'll try and keep you up to date with all of those permutations when we get race 1 underway. For the moment, though, we are now into qualifying, and Harrison Scott, who I have to say is still doing amazing things, considering and we said this last week, but I'm still flabbergasted with his performance last week, let alone the week before, considering he broke his right wrist in training, and then the following day came and raced with us with all of the controls having to be reconfigured on his steering wheel so he could only drive left-handed. And last week he finished on the podium again with the similar fate that he was having to deal with. He's been amazing, really, to put in the performances that he has, stay out of trouble and drive one-handed.
Yeah, we forget as well, he pulled off the overtake of the season around the outside of Hawthorne with one-handed as well, so he's really been massively impressive. And I wonder, is he just going to get used to the fact that he's driving one-handed, because he seems to be going quicker without his right hand, so we'll see how he gets on. And yeah, he did put on a great performance last week, and we'll see how he gets on in qualifying. There's 8 minutes/2 laps for every driver, and we'll see if Harrison Scott does the old cheeky tackle run into the off-road. There you go, that's exactly what I was hoping they'd do to prove my points. They'd get the run out of the last corner, and every 10th counts considering how close this grid is.
It's going to be unbelievably close. Remember, race number 1, the grid is formed as per qualifying that is underway now. For race number 2, it is the results from race number 1, but the entire field is reversed. So if you finish last in race 1 or non-finish as the first of the retirees, you're on pole position for race number 2. And both of those races carry out exactly the same number of championship points: 35 for a race win, 29 for second, 24 for third, and so on, diminishing by a point or two from there all the way down to 1 point for 20th position. So Harrison Scott is the first of the drivers onto the flying lap in reality, We've seen pole position decided by tenths, if not thousandths of second at the vast majority of the circuit. But again, neat and tidy, using all of the circuit and all of the curb coming out of Coppice Corner. But for the moment, looks a clean and tidy lap, doesn't it, from the driver who lies third in the championship standings?
Oh, gets a little bit out of shape there as he came out of the S's right there, but still looking pretty good. We'll get the first indication of the pace right here. We're looking for 121s, low 121s, mid 121s is right about what they were setting in practice that they had in the hour session, and we'll see how Harrison Scott is going to do as he comes through the last corner, and we'll get an idea of the pace of the rest of the field as well. It's a crucial qualifying for Piers Pryor in particular, who needs to try and fight Nico Verone for this race. When he comes across the line, Louis Foster 123.1, Harrison Scott 121.95. Verone slots in behind Kieran Vernon 122.0. Now, I would imagine that a lot of those guys would have used that as a warm-up lap, but a decent opening lap from Harrison Scott. We'll see if he can improve on that. Ollie Clark, always good in qualifying, but and doesn't tend to go his way in the races so far.
No, it is up to second, Ollie Clark at the moment. Ben Hingley drops in into 5th place. William Wintz drops in into what was 9th. He's now down to 10th as Jake Dalton now heads to the top of the times. Fantastic stuff from Jake Dalton. He goes on to provisional pole position, 1 minute 21.661 for the very Formula One reminiscent livery that he's got on board his Dallara. Remember, it's not just the Drivers' Championship as well that we need to worry about. There's the Teams' Championship that we need to try and calculate as well. The Teams' Championship is the 2 best drivers' scores over the course of the evening that count towards the Teams' Championship. And Lannon Racing, thanks to largely what Piers Pryor and co have done over the course of the season, are leading on 286 points, and that's just 7 points ahead of Chris Dittman Racing. And Chris Dittman Racing have got the likes of Nico Verone and Kieran Vernon, who were at the sharp end of this qualifying session, scrabbling for the points for them. And just what's that, 18 points off them are Douglas Motorsport on 261. So there's still the Teams' Championship to think about as well. And both of those that are the champion and the Teams' champion will get a magnum of champagne, but of course the championship trophy, the Jack Cavell trophy, goes the way of the championship winning driver. So it looks as though Nico Verone has now gone to the top of the times with a fantastic time that he has just popped in, 1 minute 21.5 for Verone. So that puts him exactly, Jack, where he wanted to be.
Yep, that's it. That's all he can do. Harrison Scott couldn't improve. He had an off track, which invalidated his lap. We look now at Bart Horston, another man who's had some issues in the races and hasn't really been able to show his true pace. Let's have a look and see what Bart can do. He's just slotted in behind Jonathan Hoggard, and no sign of Piers Pryor setting a time yet. He is out on track at the moment, but we'll see Piers Pryor. This is especially crucial considering Nico Verone is on pole position at the moment. We'll see Piers Pryor is going to come across the line in just a few moments to set his time. Bart Horston across the line, and let's see if he can improve on his time. Horston goes to 4th. Good lap from Bart Horston, 121.872. Piers Pryor only managing 13th now. He needs more than that.
He really does need more than that, Piers Pryor. He's got time in which to do it. I do wonder if he just sort of stayed in the pit lane just to try and get a little bit of clear track and let everybody go out in the early stages of the session, because he wasn't the only one that hung around in the pit lane. The likes of Callan O'Keefe, the South African, also sort of waited quite late to join this session as we go on board with Piers Pryor now onto the brakes up towards McLean's corner. So they set the 13th quickest time as things stand last time through with a 1 minute 22.49. Grabs the apex curb at Coppice Corner. He'll let the car run out wide and then in towards the braking area for the Fogarty S's, where a few laps ago we saw Harrison Scott sort of bounce his way over the curbs and that unsettled the car. Nice and neat and tidy from Piers Pryor, but is Jack it going to be quick enough?
Not too sure. Looks like he got a lot of understeer through the S's right there, but he is on a personal best in the 2 and 3 mini sectors right there. Not an improvement in the first sector, but it looks like it is going to be an improvement. Ideally, he needs to slot into that top 5 at the minimum, because it's currently Nico Verone, Jake Dalton, and Ulysse DePau in that top 3. So here comes Piers Pryor out of the last corner, nice and neat so far. He comes to the line. I'm not sure it's going to be enough for pole position, but he comes across. Does he improve on 13th? Yes, 5th place, 121.884. Very, very close to the time of Bart Horston, 5th place, but crucially, Nico Verone is on pole and Piers Pryor needs 2nd at the minimum to try and keep this championship alive into race 2.
He does, yeah. If Verone wins, he's got to finish in second place, otherwise the championship is already stitched up. Jonathan Hoggard, who has already claimed an esports Formula 3 championship, but a couple of days ago is just heading around the circuit. Now, where is Hoggard? He has done his 2 laps, so he will not be continuing. He'll be heading back down into the pit lane. I think practicing some starts is Jonathan Hoggard at the moment, just to see what he might be able to do. I would have thought might be a little bit disappointed with only qualifying in 10th position, because, again, he's another driver that's had the pace all season, but hasn't quite had the luck. He's got tangled up in a few accidents, hasn't he?
Yeah, indeed, he has been definitely caught up in a few accidents right there. He's just trying to get some starts done as well. And in 10th place isn't all too bad for Jonathan Hoggard, considering how close everybody is. A 10th of a second would have gained him about 5 places. So Jonathan Hoggard didn't exactly do too bad there, but it is nearly 0.6 of a second off the pole time. So Nico Verone smashes it. Jake Dalton, very impressive qualifying from him in second place. Elise DePau, Bart Horston, and Piers Pryor. So Nico Verone, he could wrap up the title, but he has to win. It's all up to Piers Pryor and what he does in his race.
Yeah, Jake Dalton deserves some good luck. I've got to say, he was going really well at Brands Hatch before there was an issue which pitched him into a multiple roll at the final corner. So Nico Verone claims pole position for the penultimate race of the 2020 British Formula 3 iRacing Championship season. Jake Dalton alongside Elise DePau and Bart Horston on row number 2. And row number 3 is Piers Pryor, lying second in the championship alongside the driver that's third in the championship, Harrison Scott. Kieran Vernon and Jordan Albert, who joins us as a guest. Welcome back to BRDC F3, Jordan Albert. He sits down row number 4. Ollie Clark and Jonathan Hoggard on row number 5. And NM Ahmed and Ben Hingley complete the 6th row of the grid. On to row number 7 as the cars continue to grid up. And I think we've nearly got the full grid there already. Yep, so we're going to get things underway. Penultimate race of the season. Nico Verone and Jake Dalton on pole position. All front row of the grid, lights go out, and it's a good start from Nico Verone. Jake Dalton moves across and pushes Elise DePau briefly onto the grass as they all head up towards Redgate Corner for the first time. And it's Nico Verone that leads the race. Jake Dalton hangs on to second place. It's Elise DePau in third place. Bart Horston and Harrison Scott are still together for 5th and 6th place, but Harrison Scott might lose out here if he's not careful as Piers Pryor tries to pick his pocket. Piers Pryor also has to worry about Kieran Vernon at the same time, so it's all rather close, and I think they've all safely got through the first couple of corners, Jack.
Yeah, it looks like no major issues. Piers Pryor losing out. We've got a couple of Enam Ahmed dropping down the order. He started in 11th place, and he's had a problem run wide somewhere, looks like. He's trying to get up the inside of the Chris Meelan, Tom Gamble in the middle of that one as well. So he goes, contact there, and off the road goes Tom Gamble into the gravel trap. So he manages to keep it out of the bar, keeps the car going, but just wheel-on-wheel contact sent him off right there. Not ideal for him, but we go back to the front, and that's Bart Horston spinning. Oh no, it's another terrible one for Bart Horston, qualifying so well, and ends up in the middle of this field. And there was a massive accident with Enam Ahmed riding up the back of another car right there. Enam Ahmed's also had a terrible one, and a car spinning around there. Jonathan Hoggard as well spinning around. So the Fortec cars have had a terrible opening lap.
Awful opening lap for them, but a great opening lap for Douglas Motorsport because Elise DePau and Harrison Scott are all inside the top 6 and are heading over the start-finish line. This is Elise DePau attacking Jake Dalton and going through now into second place. So Verone leads and is already starting to gap the field. 2.25 seconds gap after 1 lap of racing for the man who leads the championship standings. And remember, if Nico Verone wins this race, Piers Pryor has to finish second to keep the championship alive. If Nico Verone wins this race, it doesn't matter where Elise DePau or Harrison Scott finish, they cannot be champion. So at the moment, Pryor has got to gain 1, 2, 3 places to keep the championship alive. If he doesn't, then Verone, subject to official confirmation if he continues to lead, would be the champion with 1 race to go.
Yeah, so Verone can't afford any mistakes right now. Piers Pryor has got to get a move on. He's got to get past Harrison Scott, who's overtaken him for fifth place. So he was ahead of him. Harrison Scott's had a good one, an opening lap from him. So he's into 4th place. Jake Dalton still in 3rd, letting Elise DePau through. So back down. Oh, big one. Jordan Albert and Josh Skelton, that looks like, on the exit of the top of the hill. Like here going through as well. Let's see. Maybe see what happened there between the two of them.
Chris Meelan was on the grass just ahead of them. Jordan Albert dives up the inside. And then there's contact just ahead by the look of things. So looks though it's a sort of secondary contact, wasn't it? They got tangled up in an accident that was already happening ahead of them.
Yeah, unfortunate for the two of those guys right there. Jordan Albert now dropping down the field as a result, and Josh Skelton with a very broken car is now back into the pit lane as a result. But now we go back to Piers Pryor, and Piers Pryor has been overtaken by Kieran Vernon, so it's going from bad to worse for Piers Pryor. He needs to be making positions, not losing them, and he's now falling down the order. So I wonder if it was a mistake or if Kieran Vernon has just got the pace over him. But Verona is checking out, and Piers Pryor is falling down the order, and it needs to be a miracle now for Piers Pryor to try and take the championship to the final race.
Absolutely, yeah, it's just not going his way. It's also meaning that Lannon Racing, who leads the team's championship at the moment, are going to lose points. They've got Chris Dittman car of what is Kieran Vernon ahead. Chris Dittman Racing are second in the championship points, but Douglas Motorsport, who are third in the team's championship, have got drivers second and fourth at the moment. So the team's championship is going to be really close heading into the final race. We'll have to do some math over the course of the next few minutes to try and work that one out. Nico Verone still continuing to lead. He really has checked out and has opened up a very, very sizable gap between himself and Ulysse de Pauw. Piers Pryor is still throwing everything at it. He might just have been overtaken by the number 51 car of Kieran Vernon, but he's not going to let the driver coach for Chris Dittman Racing disappear into the distance. He's going to try and stick with him, see what he might be able to do. And all of the time, Verone in the lead with clear air is just going quicker and quicker and quicker. New fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 21.631.
Yeah, and opening the gap to Ulysse de Pauw. Ulysse de Pauw is also checking out away from Jake Dalton, so it's a mammoth task ahead of Piers Pryor to try and get second place. There's a 20-minute race ahead of him, of course, but it's looking like it could be Verona's title already, barring that he doesn't make any mistakes. But he's not a man to make mistakes when he's out in the lead of race number 1. So it's Verona from de Pauw, Jake Dalton still in third, Harrison Scott chasing him now for third place at the moment. Kieran Vernon fifth, Piers Pryor, there is Jake Dalton, and he is getting caught by Harrison Scott here. So Harrison Scott trying to go for a podium again in race number 1, one-handed again, and there'll be a nice result for Harrison Scott. Of course, he is still mathematically in the championship, but with Verona out in the lead, it's not going to do anything really.
No, it's not. No, he really just needs to push as hard as he can. Jake Dalton finally on course, at least at the moment, still with 15 minutes to go, for a podium, which is more than overdue as far as I'm concerned. He's been a quick driver, but just hasn't had the luck. And at the moment, the driver who finished 5th in the 2013 BRDC Formula 4 Championship standings when he was racing for Mark Godwin Racing is sitting there in 3rd place. The gap between himself and Ulysse de Pauw last time through just went out by 0.3 of a second. This time, as they go over the start-finish line, the gap goes out by 0.03 of a second. So it's going the wrong way still as far as Jake Dalton is concerned. Because that man there, the Belgian driver, Ulysse de Pauw, pulling away. So first, pulling away from second, pulling away from third.
Harrison Scott, fastest lap of the race, that time by 1:21.5. Piers Pryor sitting in there nicely just behind Kieran Vernon. He is getting challenged as well by Ollie Clark, and Piers Pryor goes off the road. Now here comes Ollie Clark around the outside. It's going from bad to worse again. He's going to lose another place on this championship day. Nah, it's another one lost for Piers Pryor. Ollie Clark goes up to 6th place. And Piers Pryor just looks like he's struggling with the pace. And I wonder, is he carrying damage? Because it looks like he's just unable to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, such a shame for Piers Pryor. He's seeing his championship aspirations evaporate in front of his eyes as the man who's going to race for Hill Speed in 2020, Ollie Clark, goes through and grabs the position. We saw him out racing Formula 4 in the US the last couple of years, and Ollie Clark is looking to try and grab what for him would be one of his better results. He's had a 4th, a 5th and a 6th throughout the course of the season. Well, he's now back inside the top 6 again as a result of that overtake on Piers Pryor. Nico Verone still pulling away all of the time. So you're absolutely right. Ollie Clark now is already starting to gap Piers Pryor, isn't he? So again, the gap's come out by a couple of car lengths. How much does it affect the aerodynamics on these cars? It's such a clever thing, iRacing. I'm guessing if you follow the car ahead too closely, it does just overwork your tyres.
It can as well, and if you have any sort of front wing damage or any kind of suspension damage, it affects your straight line speed. So it could be that way for Piers Pryor. There is an element of dirty air in this one, but according to the drivers, it's not overly massive according to other games. But Piers Pryor, yeah, again off the road there, he looks like he definitely seems to be struggling with some sort of aero damage, suspension damage, something, because this is unlike Piers Pryor. He tends to be right at the sharp end fighting with these guys, and it just seems to me that he's struggling with, could possibly be with a hardware issue as well. Sometimes drivers have issues with their pedals or steering wheel or something, but at the moment it looks like there's just maybe some slight aero damage which is affecting Piers Pryor's straight line speed. He's unable to even close in on Ollie Clark down the straight in the slipstream even.
Yeah, in towards the Fogarty S's he'll go as we ride on board with Piers Pryor in 7th position, looking to see whether he can start to gain an advantage over the hill speed machine that lies ahead again. Onto the brakes, in towards the tight right-hander at the Melbourne hairpin. That's taken in first gear, shifting up through the gears again before you're back on the brakes for Goddard's corner. Difficult corner, Goddard's. It's a hairpin, but it drops away. It's an adverse camber. Once you turn into the apex, the circuit's already beginning to drop away. Then use all of the curb on the exit of the corner, up through the gears, and you'll see the cars move over pit lane exit here. They'll use as much of the tarmac as they can on the left, onto the brakes, in towards Redgate corner, and from there it's down through what in the case of many drivers is the most daunting but most exciting part of the circuit, down through the Craner curves.
Yeah, it's a very fast piece of track right here into the old hairpin. So they swing right down one gear, flicks it in under the old bridge on the left-hand side of the old aqueduct, trying to follow Ollie Clark at the moment. And you can see Kieran Vernon just broke away a little bit. He's starting to try and latch on the back of Harrison Scott, who's also on a big chase of Jake Dalton, who's just a little ways up the road from him. So they're all evenly spaced out right here, these top 7 cars. But out front, it's Ulysse DePau and Nico Verone, and Verone has had absolutely no problems so far. He's out in the lead by a comfortable margin over Ulysse DePau. Jake Dalton still comfortably in 3rd place. There he is, Nico Verone. He's got a gap of 3.3 seconds to Ulysse DePau at the moment, and at the moment he's doing everything that he needs to secure the championship going into race 2, where he might be able to have a little bit of fun starting from the back of the grid.
He's had plenty of fun from the back of the grid already, and that was when it mattered. And if he wins this one, it won't matter. It will just absolutely be for fun. I'm also keeping an eye on what's going on for 3rd and 4th place, because Harrison Scott last time through in 4th place set another new fastest lap of the race, which means he's ever closer to Jake Dalton. So there goes Nico Verone already through Redgate corner. Ulysse DePau, Jake Dalton and Harrison Scott again all sort of bunching up with each other. Let's have a quick look. Harrison Scott hasn't fully caught, has he, Jake Dalton as yet? So there's Ulysse DePau down through the Craner curves. Here behind them is the next of the cars, which is Jake Dalton, and there is Harrison Scott, who, is slowly inching up, but with half of the race to go, has he got enough in hand? Has he got enough tyres as well to be able to close up ever further? Remember, he's driving one-handed as well, is Harrison Scott. If he finishes 4th, his championship aspirations are over. So he really needs Nico Verone to sort of finish down towards the bottom of the top 10 if he's going to finish in the position that he's in 4th at the moment. And we've not seen, I don't think, a single mistake from Nico Verone all championship season as yet, have we?
Not at all. If the mistakes haven't been his fault, as we watch Kieran Vernon, who's been caught now by Ollie Clark in 6th place. This is now the battle for 5th place. Piers Pryor is still kind of there, so I wonder if he's just hanging back and seeing what happens between these guys. They start to battle. Harrison Scott definitely now with Jake Dalton, 6 or 7 tenths of a second the gap now. Ulysse DePau is about a second ahead of those guys, but 3 seconds out front is still Nico Verone, so he can't afford any mistakes still. He's got to keep his focus because he can't afford to back off the pace. He's been uber consistent lap times, 121.6 again. Ulysse DePau matches him. Jake Dalton 122.1, 121.7. So Piers Pryor setting personal bests, and he is lapping quicker than Ollie Clark at the moment, but he's kind of just stuck. He needs 2nd place, and then right now it's opening out and it's going in the opposite direction that Piers Pryor needs it to.
Well, for Harrison Scott, it's going in the right direction because he has inched up ever further onto the coattails of Jake Dalton. Fantastic squabble for the final place on the podium in this penultimate race of the season for the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. Harrison Scott has done all of the hard work to catch. Now, can he throw anything more at it and try and get past Jake Dalton? So round through Coppice Corner they'll go. The gap came down last time through by a further 0.3 of a second between the pair of them. But now Harrison Scott is at that stage of the race where he's now starting to get into the dirty air of that car ahead of Jake Dalton, which, as you said, doesn't affect the drivers as much as in some other simulations, but it will still have an effect, and he just needs to be careful that he doesn't overwork the tyres and start to lose front end grip, and then if he's overworked those tyres and they've overheated, then the car's going to drop away from him even more until he gets back into the clean air. We can see Nico Verone heading up towards Redgate corner in the distance. Lapped traffic might have a pivotal role to play in these final 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, indeed it could. I'm just looking at the lap. Verone was nearly 7 tenths of a second quicker than Ulysse DePau at that time as we came over the line. So Verone going even quicker now, 121.5. It's almost on the pace of the fastest lap of the race. So he's really in his stride right now, and he's opening out the gap by a big margin to Elise Power right now. Yeah, that is a lapped car further up the road. We're about 13 minutes into this race. It is Chris Meelan, that looks like it is. It is indeed 16th place. Chris Meelan going around. But yeah, Verona should catch him with a couple of laps to go. I know he's going to catch him too shortly. Maybe even, well, I say that, he's actually not too far off the back of him now. So you can see he might catch him very shortly. Elise Power is almost the full straight behind Nico Verone right now, and in the background you can see how close Harrison Scott is to Jake Dalton. He's tucked in behind them as they come down the straight, but again, still unable to find a way past, and he's trying his best to keep his tyres at a decent temperature. He doesn't overheat them behind him, and of course, if he starts the battle, that's going to bring Kieran Vernon, Ollie Clark and Piers Pryor into the battle.
We knew this was going to happen. We've seen it week in, week out. We've not seen too many incidents in this race as well. So largely everybody has kept it clean. The odd little one at the beginning, but since they've sort of settled into it, then we've seen some fantastic racing. Sliding the car coming out of Goddard's there was Harrison Scott, and Jake Dalton is moving from one side of the circuit to the other to try and break the toe. Harrison Scott is right behind. He's going to have a quick look, and very late up on the brakes, heading in towards the braking area for Redgate Corner. He's able to squeeze his way through, hangs onto it on the exit as well. So job done as far as Harrison Scott is concerned. He now means that he is up. It now means he is up into the podium places. It also now means that Douglas Motorsport are on for good haul of points in the teams championship. Second and third currently they are, with Ulysse de Pauw now ahead of his teammate Harrison Scott in the race.
Yeah, Jake Dalton still hanging on to fourth place. Looks like Kieran Vernon is closing into him in the background with Ollie Clark in tow. But a good race for Ollie Clark as well. Tends to have been involved in a lot of incidents in the opening laps of the race. This has been a really nice run from Ollie Clark in sixth place for Hill Speed, trying to get into the side inside that top five at the moment. And in the slipstream of Kieran Vernon, Piers Pryor just not quite in that slipstream. He needs these guys really to have a coming together for him to slot in ahead of them into fifth place, and he needs basically every car in front of him to have an issue to slot into second place where he essentially needs to be.
Yeah, we'll have to see as to whether there's anything they can do to try and shuffle that order there. Over the start finish line goes Nico Verone. 5 minutes to go. He hasn't quite as yet caught the back marker traffic of the man from the Isle of Man, that being Chris Meelan, but he should catch him over the course of this lap. The good thing for Nico Verone is that he's got almost a 5-second advantage, so if he loses a tenth of a second here or there just working his way through the traffic, it won't be a problem. Even if he loses a couple of seconds, it won't be a problem. He'll just have to pick his moment and make sure that he gets the clean overtake on the traffic. Ulysse de Pauw in second place, Harrison Scott in third, Jake Dalton, Kieran Vernon and Ollie Clark complete the top six at this stage. Jonathan Hoggard, who you recall had a spin, has now recovered back into ninth position. He's just got himself ahead of Louis Foster, so he's had a reasonably good run. And other drivers that started towards the tail end of the field have made good progress and kept their nose clean. Carter Williams for JHR Development is now in 11th place. He started 21st, and Tom Gamble, who started 24th, is up to 14th.
Yeah, it's been great movers. Jonathan Hoggard on a good recovery. He's having a fantastic scrap here with Louis Foster. Side by side through the old hairpin. Hoggard tried it on the outside. Foster said no, and he's going to have to fight for this one as Louis Foster into 9th, Hoggard back into 10th, Carter Williams 11th. So they're on some good recovery drives here. So Hoggard now trying to slot himself back into 9th place, but Louis Foster holding on nicely for this one as well through the hairpin, through the S's, and looks like he's going to be ahead for a little while longer at this point. 16 and a half minutes gone this race for only 121.721. I've been really impressed with his consistency. He's been lapping within the same 0.2 of a second for the past 16 minutes. It's incredible consistency from Nico Verone, and Ulysse de Pauw 121.5, but 0.2 of a second isn't going to make any kind of difference at this point in time. And interestingly as well, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th all lapped in the same 10th that time, so nobody's making any gains whatsoever.
Yeah, a bit like checkmate, isn't it? Checkmate's down through that area of it. But yeah, metronomic lap times being put in by Nico Verone, who has so far already claimed 3 wins. He won race number 1 at Oulton Park. That was the first weekend of racing that we had. He only finished 3rd at Spa, so a poor night as far as he was concerned. But then he was back on the top step of the podium at Silverstone and at Brands Hatch last week as well. So at the moment, he is now, less than 3 minutes away from win number 4 of the season, and it would be, subject to official confirmation, the championship already out of touch for anybody else, and that is with 1 race to go for Nico Verone, so he really can enjoy himself charging through what would be from the back of the grid, remember, for race number 2, because it is a full reverse grid. Onto the brakes, up towards Goddard's they'll go, still with Ulysse de Pauw in the distance, but well and truly in the distance as far as Nico Veroni is concerned, and Yulista Powell will have that traffic to deal with before too much longer. As for Harrison Scott, well, he's not shaken off Jake Dalton, has he? They're still reasonably close to each other. Kieran Vernon, Ollie Clark, Piers Pryor, but as you say, they go over the start-finish line, and again, they're all within a couple of tenths of each other, so the gaps aren't changing significantly still.
Yeah, Jake Dalton is keeping with Harrison Scott very well at the moment. He's in the slipstream, which is helping him to drag himself up towards Harrison Scott. Kieran Vernon hanging on nicely in 5th, Ollie Clark as well in 6th. And you see the off tracks right there on the exit of the old hairpin. That's a vicious corner. If you go way too much over the curb, it will spin you round. We saw it a lot in practice, drivers pulling off 360s through there. Harrison Scott now trying to hang on for 3rd place, and we should, when we come across the line next time, should be on the final lap, and Veroni on course to claim the title in this race. But this battle for 3rd place is certainly not over, and we'll see how they get on. Is Jake Dalton going to claim a podium? Is Harrison Scott going to claim another one? Or could there be an even bigger twist in the tail? Could Kieran Vernon come through? Could Ollie Clark come through? And Piers Pryor still in there, but really not keeping touch with these guys.
You were talking about off tracks. Without looking at your screen, Jack Pinnon, there's one driver in the whole field that has not had an off track.
I wonder who.
Nico Veroni out front, controlling the race, absolutely. And it looks as though now he is just one lap away from, subject to official confirmation, being our inaugural British Formula 3 iRacing champion in association with Apex Racing TV. Remember, this is win number 4. There's only been one race so far this season where Nico Veroni has not finished in the top 5, and that was where he non-point scored at Spa because of off-track limits. He's had 3 wins so far. He's not had a second, amazing. He's had a 3rd, he's had a 4th, and he's had 2 5ths out of the races that we've had. And for now, he is just heading round through McLean's up towards Coppice for the final time. There's a bit more traffic up the road that he can decide whether he wants to deal with it or not. I think the traffic's going to move out of harm's way for him, and indeed it does. Yeah, the Swedish driver William Wintz moves out of the way and allows Nico Veroni at unabated speed to head down at the Starkey Straight and in towards the Fogarty S's for the final time. He's been the class of the field most weekends, and it looks as though he, with a race to go, Jack, is going to lift the championship crown.
Yeah, stellar season from Nico Veroni. Of course, pending official confirmation, but he's coming to the last corner here in Donington. Here at Goddard as he goes through in the Chris Dittman racing car round the last corner. Nico Veroni wins race 1 and is, subject to confirmation, the champion of the inaugural British Formula 3 iRacing Championship. In the background, Yulista Powell. Harrison Scott very close across the line, but Jake Dalton hangs on for 4th. Harrison Scott in 3rd, Yulista Powell 2nd. And then Kieran Vernon, Ollie Clark, Piers Pryor is in 7th. It's not enough, and he is out of contention of the championship. But Nico Veroni did everything right. Not a single off-track, led from the start, and he has won the title. Piers Pryor, he tried everything, but it wasn't enough.
No, it just came up short, unfortunately. But for Piers Pryor, there is still work to do in race number 2. If I've got the maths right, that means that Nico Veroni is now on 223 points and, subject to official confirmation, as we keep saying, the champion for this year. Piers Pryor still lies 2nd in the championship. That 7th place will mean he is now on 178 points. But closing in on him, 3rd in the championship is Harrison Scott on 167, and 4th in the championship still. But he's just finished 2nd in that race, so again has closed the gap a little bit, is Yulista Powell on 147. So it's still rather close, to say the least, which means that 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship are still yet to be decided. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how that all pans out in the second 20-minute race that's coming up very, very shortly. Confirmation of the results then. Nico Veroni claims the win and the maximum 35 championship points for the 4th time this season. Yulista Powell finishes in 2nd place with Harrison Scott in 3rd. Good haul of points that for Douglas Motorsport as they look to try and close in on the team's championship if they can. Jake Dalton, the independent, with one of his best results of the season so far in 4th. Kieran Vernon and Ollie Clark in 5th place. Championship's over for Piers Pryor, but what he can do now is try and cement good points for Lannon, who are leading the team's championship, and also himself, who wants to finish runner-up in this series if he can. Josh Mason was 8th, Jonathan Hoggard 9th, and Louis Foster 10th. Then it was Carter Williams, Nikolai Kiergaard ahead of Tom Maxwell, Tom Gamble, Ben Hinchley, Chris Meelan, Bart Horston, and Max Maserati wrap up the top 18. Just outside of the top 18, the last of the finishers, Josh Skelton, Vladimir Tsioitzis, William Wintz, Callum O'Keefe, Jordan Albert, and off the back of the grid, last of the finishers, so off the front of the grid for race number 2, NM Ahmed. It'll be interesting to see how the 2017 champion goes. Off the back of the grid after problems in race number 1. So we will have a few drivers that will want to come and join us in live commentary. So let's bring in, to start with, our driver who has just won that race. We'll be talking to him as the champion later on once we get all the official confirmation. But Nico Verone, again, went perfectly to plan. You qualified on pole, you got a break early on, you didn't have a single off track, and you won by 5 seconds.
Hi guys, yeah, really happy to get the win at this stage. I think I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm champion already.
Subject to official confirmation, because you have other things to do outside of the cockpit to make sure you get the points. So yeah, I think you're the champion. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I did it. So yeah, really happy. The win is really important. I knew, like, to avoid incidents and all that, I need to get pole or top 3 in qualifying just to, get in front and go ahead. And yeah, I managed to get a good lap. I did pole and yeah, then a good start, a clean first lap, and then made a gap and maintain it to the end.
How difficult has it been in this championship to continually have that focus and have that pace every single week? Because the variety of the circuits we've had, as you will see when you're racing this year with us in BRDC Formula 3, each circuit has its own challenges, and you just seem to have adapted to every single one of them, whether it be from the front of the grid or the back of the grid.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think, train, do laps. I take this really seriously because racing in the BRDC F3 Championship in real and virtually for me is really important. So yeah, I wanted to win it, to be on top. So I train a lot during the week, and yeah, take it as the real stuff. So yeah, really happy for that, and I think that's the key.
Final question for me before Jack, I'm sure, will pitch in with one. You say you train a lot. How many hours would you spend building up to this evening at Donington Park? How many laps and hours would you put in practicing just this circuit?
Yeah, probably since the setup is upload, probably 2 hours or per day, like training, or 1 hour, depends the day, but more or less that time. That if you do it consistently, like day by day, then you see the results on the race.
Jack?
Good stuff. So, of course, Nico, you're starting from the back of the grid now for race number 2. Considering that we think that you are the champion, just going out there and have a bit of fun, yeah?
Yeah, obviously I'm a little bit more relaxed, but not that much, because I also want to win with Chris Dittman Racing the team championship. So I need to be, like, keep focus and like try to maximize the position now in race 2 to take some points and probably secure also the team championship for CDR. That will be great.
Good stuff. Well, that's all from me. Well done, Nico. Well done on the win. We'll hopefully be talking to you later about the championship, and hopefully we'll see you back on the podium again in race 2.
Well, guys, hope so. Well, I want to thank all Chris Dittman Racing, Ison Driver Performance, that is where I train in the UK, and all the people that is behind this championship. That is really nice.
Thanks, Nico. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we will be chatting to him later, because we'll be getting John Cavell to present him the championship trophy. Let's bring in the driver that finished in second position, Ulysse De Pauw. Ulysse, congratulations, second place. Mathematically, you came into this evening. You could still have won it, but second place was the best you could achieve, because Nico Verone just seemed to have the upper hand.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. I had a pretty bad qualifying with an off track in lap 1, so I had to be safe in lap 2, and I still managed to qualify third. And then I had a good first few laps, like managed to get up to P2, and then Nico was a bit faster, and I just decided to keep it calm and out of troubles, and I just brought it back in P2. So some good points for the championship.
Some good points for the championship, your 4th podium of the year. It means that mathematically you could still finish runner-up in this championship, and equally it was good points for Douglas Motorsport. So you sort of closed in the team's championship on both Lannon and Chris Dittman.
Yeah, the goal is more like to win the team championship than plan to get some position on the driver championship because the gap are quite wide. But yeah, I hope I can do a solid second race. Until now, I always had some crash or some misfortunes, so I hope we can bring some good points and get that championship for the team.
And final quick question, you had a full season with Douglas Motorsport last year, finished 7th in the BRDC Formula 3 Championship, a couple of podiums along the way. You've re-signed for them again this year. Do you think you're in a better place coming into this season because you've now got a year with the team and the car and knowing the circuits?
Yeah, for sure. I signed quite late with them last year, and I had like 5 or 6 days of testing with the car before the first race. And I improved a lot during the season. Learning the track in England is not an easy thing, but I think I'm more than ready comparing to last year, and I hope we can get back on track soon and show what we can do.
Jack?
I think I'll let you go, Ulysses. We were ticking down to the end, so well done on the podium, and hopefully we'll be chatting to you again after race 2.
Thanks, hopefully. Bye.
There we go, and we'll have a quick chat to Harrison Scott. Harrison, well done. Despite having to do it with one hand again, you were kept very busy on your way to third.
Yeah, not the sort of race that I want to be having. I just don't really seem to have the qualifying pace compared to the guys ahead. Maybe just lack of prep during the weeks, obviously managing work and that. But yeah, the race pace seems really strong. I think even compared to obviously Nico at the front. So obviously that helps me come through the pack and obviously put some good overtakes in as well to be able to do that. So yeah, pretty happy.
We've seen some good overtakes from you generally throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, I'd like to be in Nico's position, starting pole and driving away out the front. Obviously, going about it the hard way in the series, which no, I'm having lots of fun with it. Obviously, it's always difficult in the simulations to be super close to the competitors, but I'm finding that bit really enjoyable, and yeah, just hoping off some good moves.
It's been a bit like a school reunion, I suppose, has it for you? You were in BRDC Formula 3 in 2016, but you come back and there's some familiar names, some new names, and nice to catch up with people generally.
Yeah, no, it has been. Obviously, I've done a lot with Wayne in the British F3 car, so really good to obviously run his colours here in this championship and put some strong results in. So it's been really enjoyable, like you say, and yeah, obviously try and cap off the last one with a good result and put the team championship right up there.
Well, unless Jack's got anything, we'll let you go because we're not that far away from starting race 2.
No worries, thank you.
So there we go. I know John Cavell is still sort of hanging around in the interview waiting room. We'll bring him in at the end of race number 2 because we want him to present the trophy to our champion, the virtual trophy at least. And without John Cavell, he as Giles Butterfield mentioned earlier on, he's been a long time supporter of Formula 3 generally, and in particular BRDC Formula 3. So he will be presenting the Jack Cavell trophy to our champion at the end of race 2 that's coming up. So we're going to have a fantastic race again, Jack. We've got Nico Verone off the back of the grid. We know what he can do from the back of the grid. He's already finished in 4th and 2 5th places from the back of the grid, having won races previously. But we've got Enem Ahmed, a former champion, on pole position.
We know how fast Enem Ahmed as well. He's shown it, and he's got a podium during the season as well. So we'll see how he gets on from the front of the grid. I'm sure it'll be quite a little easier starting from the front of the grid than from the middle of the pack. So we'll see as well how Verona, Ulysse de Pauw, Harrison Scott, how they get on, siding their way through the fields. They always tend to get their way up through there as well. But we'll see now because we still have the Constructors' Championship to decide as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And we'll try and do maths, but I can't guarantee it'll be right.
I was up to date on the drivers, but for the teams, no. I think I'm reliant on people in the background to bring us news on that, unless you've got a pen and paper and a spreadsheet to work it all out. So race number 2 starting to grid up. This, remember, is the last race in the inaugural season, the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. Subject to official confirmation, championships decided. Nico Verone, the champion for this year, but Piers Pryor, Harrison Scott, Ulysse de Pauw could all mathematically finish runner-up in the series. Enem Ahmed will start from pole position. Jordan Albert will line up alongside. The red lights are coming on. The blue car with the yellow flashes is Enem Ahmed. The black and white car is Jordan Albert. And as the lights go out, it's a good start from NM Ahmed. Jordan Albert slots himself through into second position. Callan O'Keefe is there in third place. William Winst is looking to fight off Vladimir Choitsis for what is fourth and fifth position. And it is just the Swede of the Cypriot who then runs a little bit wide. Contact, and that's Ollie Clark, unfortunately, that's involved. Josh Skelton is involved as well. And did Jonathan Hoggard, I think, get tangled up in that as well, as did Tom Gamble. So all went wrong for a few drivers at Redgate, first corner.
Yeah, we saw that happen previously as well. We now look at Jonathan Hoggard as he makes his way through, and that's Piers Pryor, who's also got caught up in that as well. Louis Foster off in the background as well. So it's been a messy one for these guys. Jake Dalton fighting away, Ulista Powell, and all those guys have made it up through these guys. And Nico Veroni is right in the back of Piers Pryor now as well. Carter Williams in there as well as they come up the hill. Piers Pryor trying to defend from Nico Veroni as they come up the hill for the first time. But it's Ulista Powell who leads the... actually, Harrison Scott, 10th. Harrison Scott from the back of the grid. He's had an amazing start, up to 9th now, trying to fight with Josh Mason. So there's an amazing start for Harrison Scott. Kieran Vernon is following him as well, so it's a good one. Ollie Clark's had a great one too in 7th place. They've made huge ground in this opening lap. You can see now Harrison Scott looking up the inside of Josh Mason, but clean away for Aidan Ahmed, clean away for Jordan Albert and Callan O'Keefe. Bart Horston up to 4th place as well. So it's been a great start for Harrison Scott, who started on the second to last row of the grid.
Yeah, real shuffle in the order as a result of some of the shenanigans that went on lap number 1. NM Ahmed is leading the race. Jordan Albert in second position. Callum O'Keefe, Bart Horston, Vladimir Choitsis and William Winst complete the top 6 at the moment. Harrison Scott, as you say, that fantastic run up into what is 9th position after just 1 lap of racing. He'll be looking to try and squeeze his way through and past the Lannon car of Josh Mason. Is he going to have a quick look? He thought about it. He has a much neater line heading round through the old hairpin. Might give him a bit more momentum on the way out, but he also needs to be careful that he doesn't lose out here to Kieran Vernon. I think Harrison Scott is going to be on the outside heading up in towards the braking area for McLean's. He grabs the apex. Now he needs to defend from Kieran Vernon, almost briefly 3 wide on the run out of McLean's and up towards Coppice Corner. And all of that has just delayed Harrison Scott very slightly, and it's relieved the pressure that was building on Josh Mason, because he's now, another couple of car lengths up the road.
Yeah, he's getting the toe off William Winst as well. You can see Lisa Powell trying to get... there's a little bit of contact coming through there. Winston Mason comes to blows. Harrison Scott says, thank you very much, I'll take those places. Moves up to 7th place. They drop down after just a tiny touch in wheels as they came into the S. Jake Dalton trying to find his way through as well on the outside line. Don't know if he's going to be able to get that. Nico Veroni opens the door for Veroni, but Jake Dalton finds the space on the outside, gets the run out of the hairpin into Goddard, up the inside of William Winst into Goddard. Nico Veroni is going to go through as well, try to go through, and Piers Pryor trying to follow through as well. This is classic Formula 3 racing right here. Great driving from Jake Dalton. Got the run on the outside and managed to get it done into the last hairpin.
He did, yeah, but I don't think Piers Pryor's quite going to make it past all of that traffic, so he might just lose out a little bit. You can see how tight it is as well. Nikolai Kiergaard's having a good run. There's a spin, unfortunately, and that is Piers Pryor that's had the spin, which means the runners-up spot in the championship is starting to evaporate as well from his very eyes in front of him. So Piers Pryor tumbles down to 20th position, and well, that is just 1 single championship point if he stays where he is. He has got now, Jack Canaan, a huge amount of work to do if he wants to finish runner-up in the championship.
Yeah, he's got to try and climb up through the field with this 20-minute race. We look at Ulista Powell with Nikolai Kiergaard off into the gravel trap. He's going to lose places as he tries to rejoin. He tries to keep the car in a straight line, manages to come out in one piece, but he drops all the way down to 15th place. Jonathan Hoggard slots in front of him. So that now puts Harrison Scott to 6th, Ollie Clark to 7th, Kieran Vernon 8th, Ulista Powell 9th, Josh Mason in 10th, and Jake Dalton trying to make his way through. Nico Veroni as well. Ulista Powell goes wide. Veroni up the inside of 2 cars, straight through to 10th place. Josh Mason makes a mistake. But round goes to Powell at the exit, and that's another mistake that we've seen from these top guys. Piers Pryor around, and now Ulista Powell around as they try to fight for position. But that's going to drop him all the way down to 19th, just in front of Piers Pryor, and that's a shame for him as they make their way through the last corner as well. There is Piers Pryor, and just as we say that, Harrison Scott is now inside the top 5.
Well, Harrison Scott, now that he's 5th, that would net him 19 championship points. Piers Pryor would just get 1 single championship point as a result of his spin. There'd be just 2 championship points for Ulista Powell, and Harrison Scott only needs to outscore Piers Pryor by 11. So at the moment, if things stay where they are, the driver in 5th position, Harrison Scott, who's done half of the season with a broken right wrist and has driven one-handed, is going to be runner-up in the championship if I've got the maths right. So are there any more twists in the tail to come? I suspect so, because we've still got 15 minutes to go in this final race of the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship. NM Ahmed continues to lead the race at this stage. Remember, he was the 2017 BRDC Formula 3 champion, NM Ahmed, and has been away racing in European and Japanese and FIA Formula 3 over the course of the last season or so. I think he's doing FIA Formula 3 again this year, subject to budget. Jordan Albert side by side with Bart Horston, and it looks as though it is Albert that's going to come out in third place. Bart Horston drops down into fourth position, but is firmly in the slipstream of the British driver that lies ahead. Nice to see Jordan Albert back in BRDC Formula 3. We did see him a few seasons ago. He's been racing largely in the British GT Championship over the course of the last season or so. New fastest lap of the race, I noticed, goes to the car that's in 10th place. Nico Verone's at it again, 1 minute 21.829.
Yeah, great job, Nico Verone chasing Jake Dalton now. We just saw the move for second place. Callum O'Keefe up the inside of the G on the Grand Prix section of the Donington circuit here. You managed to slip up the inside, Jordan Albert. Bart Horston trying for that third place now. Still on the back of him. Look, big defence from Jordan Albert as they come up the hill for the fifth time, trying to get the undercut on him here as they get the slipstream. You can see O'Keefe has broken away already, but now here comes Bart Horston. We know Bart Horston is quick as he moves to the outside line. He's not quite alongside as they come through to the S as he moves to the inside again does Jordan Albert, but again it could be a repeat of what Callum O'Keefe did a lap earlier. He moved to the inside, shot a dive down the inside. Jake Dalton, another victim off the back of the circuit, and looks like he's missing a rear wing right there, and that car is crabbing. There's been contact there. Let's see if we can see what happens.
Yeah, so here's Jake Dalton. He's starting to close in on the car that lies ahead of him, and as they then sweep their way round through Schwantz Curve, it's Ollie Clark, isn't it? He manages to get past Ollie Clark, then runs a little bit wide heading out of McLean's corner up towards Coppice, takes the curb and the apex on the way in towards Coppice, neat and tidy on the way out, and then outright contact between the pair of them. I think he tried to break the toe, did he not, on Ollie Clark, because he got a poor exit out of Coppice corner, and Ollie Clark, I think inadvertently tagged the rear end of him.
Yeah, what a shame for Jake Dalton. He's had another terrible one in there. I think we're just looking at now Ollie Clark on the back of Tom Gamble, Jonathan Hogarth. Ollie Clark's dropped down a few places as a result of all that. You can see the damage to the front wing as well, so he's dropping down the order, and that'll affect him through the corners. You can see Bart Horston, I think, has just managed to slot ahead of Jordan Albert. Oh no, Jordan Albert missing the front wing, has gone off the circuit, and as well Bart Horston rejoins in front of Kieran Vernon as well. Jordan Albert looking to get away with that, so there was contact between the two of them as they came up the hill there. So Jordan Albert missing a front wing as we now look at what happened here, but there was certainly contact there.
Yeah, Jordan Albert ahead of Bart Horston. They head up towards McLean's corner, and yeah, front wheel of Bart Horston made contact with the rear wheel of Jordan Albert, and two cars trying to fight for the same piece of tarmac, I'm afraid, there. And all of that again plays ever more into the hands of Harrison Scott, who started in Jonathan Hogarth out, yeah, who is now up into third position, having started down in the 20s.
Yeah, this is fantastic from Harrison Scott. As now we look at Josh Mason, who's dropping down the order, it looks like, at the moment. He looks like he's carrying some kind of suspension damage here. We look now, Nikolai Kierkegaard is trying to make up. He made a few mistakes earlier on. He's carrying on at the moment. It's slotting into 9th place right now. So it's NM Ahmed still leading. Callum O'Keefe in 2nd. Harrison Scott 3rd. Kieran Vernon 4th. Nico Verone is 5th. We look at Bart Horston as he chases after Vladimir Tsurtsis and Tom Gamble, who are fighting away just up ahead of him. We look now, there is Tom Gamble, who leads ahead of Vladimir Tsurtsis. Nico Verone and Kieran Vernon are together on the track. So Chris Dittman Racing Cars 4th and 5th. And that's crucial for them in the Constructors' title.
It certainly is, but they've got the Douglas cars of Callum O'Keefe and Harrison Scott ahead of them, and there was only, 18 points separating that pair coming in, or those pair of teams coming into this evening, and Douglas Motorsport outscored them in race number 1 as well. Where's the highest Lannon car? Well, at the moment, it is going to be Bart Horston, or was Bart Horston, down in 8th position. So it looks as though Lannon might have seen their championship aspirations evaporate as well. Tom Gamble we're looking at now. He's running in 6th position as things currently stand. He's got the hill speed car of the Cypriot driver Vladimir Tsurtsis sitting directly behind him. He's been a busy guy in iRacing over the course of the lockdown period, racing in both this other single-seater championships and in the NASCAR Euro Series Esports Championship. Out front though, our race leader, no let up in the pace. NM Ahmed has just gone quicker again, another new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 21.78, which is instantly bettered by the charging Nico Verone with a 1 minute 21.641. There's no let up in Verone's pace. You do realise, Jack, he is the only driver that has scored more than one win so far this season. Everybody else is just a single win, and it will still be one single win, even if NM Ahmed claims the title.
I think it shows how competitive it's been over the course of the season. When if Verone is the only one who scored more than one win, NM Ahmed going to continue that trend. Callum O'Keefe falling off the back a little bit right now. Harrison Scott is a little ways further off the back, and just see him at the bottom of the straight. This is very spread out at the moment. NM Ahmed comfortably in the lead at the moment. O'Keefe second, Scott third, Vernon and Verone. Then it's Tom Gamble, Tjortsis, Kjærgaard, Horston, and Josh Skelton in 10th. Elise Pau has recovered to 11th at the moment. So he's just outside the top 10 as they carry on round the final corner again. 11 minutes gone in this race, 9 to go. And NM Ahmed looking very comfortable to secure a win and see if he can continue that lead at the moment. 121.9, Callum O'Keefe 121.9 as well. Harrison Scott, what's his pace like this time by? As he comes across the line, it's a 121.6. Kieran Vernon chasing him, 121.8, and Verone goes quicker again, 121.490, fast lap of the race again.
Yeah, no championship points for Nico Verone for the fastest lap of the race, but he is just wanting to see how high he can haul his way up the order off the back of the grid, having won race number 1. Well, so far, the best that he's done when he's won race number 1 and therefore has started from the back in race number 2 was at Oulton Park, the first evening of racing that we had in the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship, and that was when he finished in 4th place. He's had another couple of wins where he's gone off the back of the grid and has finished in 5th place, which is where he is now as well. So every time he's off the back of the grid, he clambers his way through in towards the top 6, and is certainly looking as though he's going to be doing that again. He closed on Kieran Vernon to the tune of 0.4 of a second last time through, but Kieran Vernon is still about 2.5 seconds up the road, so there's no let up in the speed that Verone needs to keep punching in if he wants to try and close up on the car that lies ahead. And I suspect if he were to close up, Jack, Kieran Vernon might just let him go, because of course they are both in Chris Littman racing machines.
Yeah, they can't afford to battle, really. We look at Bart Horston, who's carrying damage on the front wing and has now got Nikolai Kjærgaard, Vladimir Tjortsis, Josh Skelton, and Ulysse de Pauw behind them as they come up the hill for the 10th time. See Bart Horston now, he's got a job to do to keep these guys behind him. Again, Verone, again with a fast lap, 121.3 that time. Personal best from Vernon and Harrison Scott, but he's lapping quicker. But at the moment, it's really not enough to be catching Kieran Vernon at the moment. Harrison Scott is comfortably in 3rd. NM Ahmed is just opening the gap out front, and he's on course to take his first win.
How's Piers Pryor getting on his charge back through the order? Because that has implications for the runners-up spot of the championship. Well, Piers Pryor is now up into 13th position. That would net him 8 points. And 8 points, if I've got the maths right now, would put him 186 points. Whereas Harrison Scott is 3rd, which would give him 24 points. And that would put Harrison Scott on 191. So if things stay where they are, Harrison Scott, subject to my maths being correct and official confirmation, and there's lots of caveats in there, I think would be runner-up in the championship. But the race still can evolve, because we've still got 6.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, so we look now, Ulysse de Pauw just made the move on Josh Skelton. So Piers Pryor is a long way off the back of these guys to make any more positions to try and secure 2nd in the championship. Ulysse de Pauw now starting to challenge Tjortsis. We look now, Bart Horston under pressure from Nikolai Kjærgaard, who's going to try and get a run on him on the outside line with the cutback line. Not going to quite be able to do that as they come up towards Goddard. So you keep an eye on Ulysse de Pauw, who's trying to make his way through past Vladimir Tjortsis in the background as well. He's going to try and go wide and cut back on the exit. On board now, Ulysse de Pauw as he heads down towards turn number 1. He's going to be in the slipstream. Is he going to have to think about a dive down the inside? He's got the run as they head towards the first corner into Redgate. Is he going to think about it? Yes, he goes up the inside. I don't think Tjortsis is going to fight that one too much. He's going to try and get a cutback line down towards the Craner curves. They're very close. De Pauw shuts the door, and onto the grass goes Vladimir Tjortsis. Now going to be under pressure from Josh Skelton. He's going to slip up the inside, I think. There he is on the outside line into the old hairpin. So in the space of that one, Tjortsis loses 2 spots, and Ulysse de Pauw gains 1.
There was nothing Vladimir Tjortsis could do there. He tried the cutback. He was always going to get squeezed. He did the right thing, backed off to avoid the contact, but then that lost him the momentum, and looking to gain 1 place, he ultimately then loses 1, the Cypriot driver. But great opportunistic driving from Josh Skelton. That now moves him up into 10th position, or did, because he then runs wide at Coppice Corner, and having done all of the hard work, he's got it all to do again, Jack.
And Piers Pryor gains another spot. So Piers Pryor up to 11th place now. So Josh Skelton making a mistake. That's a very easy corner to make a mistake. If you have a snap of oversteer, you're going into the grass. So Skelton makes it up, and now DePau on Kiergaard up the inside. But Kiergaard keeps his foot in it around the outside lines. He'll have the inside for the final corner. Harrison Scott with a massively fast lap, 121.2 in 3rd place. He's on a charge now. Kiergaard holds on versus Ulysse DePau for now, but will he have another go like he did on Tjortsis a lap ago? DePau to the inside already as Kiergaard tries to fight him off into turn number 1. He's already alongside up the inside Ulysse DePau. Can he hold on? I think he should do. Just, oh, he gets a snap oversteer contact, and off the road goes Kiergaard with the front missing off the car now, and that's such a shame. They came to just blows right now. DePau keeps going, but just about very lucky to keep going right there.
And that might have huge implications for who finishes runner-up in the championship, because it might just allow Piers Pryor to gain another couple of places. Harrison Scott, remember, is running 3rd on the road, which would net him a gross score in the championship. I've got my maths correct of 191. Piers Pryor is now up into 10th place. That would move him on to 189. So there's just a couple of points now between Harrison Scott and Piers Pryor in the championship for the runners-up spot. We've still got just under 4 minutes of this race to go. We've got Enem Ahmed out front and comfortably leading the race from Callan O'Keefe, who sits there in 2nd place. It's great to have Callan back in the championship. He raced for Douglas Motorsport back in the 2017 BRDC Formula 3 Championship, having finished 6th over the course of that year. But he's got this car here, Harrison Scott, closing in on him lap after lap after lap. The gap came down by another 1/4 of a second last time through, didn't it? But he's still about 4 seconds up the road, Callan O'Keefe. So I don't think no matter what Harrison Scott does, he's going to add to his championship tally. What he needs to do is keep his fingers crossed that behind Piers Pryor doesn't add to his.
Exactly, and Piers Pryor is gaining on Vladimir Tjortsis as well. He took a 0.6 of a second out of him on that lap. Now there is still a decent enough gap that he has. There is Tjortsis, he's not far away, so Pryor still could maybe gain 9th place here, and that would bring it right down to the wire.
It would. It still wouldn't be good enough, though, for him. That would put him 1 point behind Harrison Scott. He'd need to get past Tjortsis, and he'd need to get past Ulysse DePau as well. Well, it looks as though he's got past Tjortsis. Yeah, he's got past Vladimir Tjortsis. Now, Piers Pryor needs to catch and get past Ulysse DePau. If he doesn't do that, then I think that the runners-up spot, or the vice championship spot, is going the way of Harrison Scott. So Ulysse DePau isn't going to make it easy either, is he?
No, he's not. So he's actually trying to catch up to Bart Horson, who's carrying wing damage, don't forget, as well. So it's going to come very interestingly down to the wires across the line with just under 18 minutes to go. It's still Enem Ahmed who leads. Callan O'Keefe in 2nd, then it's Harrison Scott, who took another 0.7 of a second out of Callan O'Keefe, but the gap is too big for him to catch right now. Verone still lapping quickly in 5th place. Tom Gamble running well in 6th place. Bart Horson is 7th. Ulysse DePau is 8th. Piers Pryor is 9th. And Vladimir Tjortsis is inside the top 10. But we still look at Enem Ahmed, who is out front. He's led every single lap of the race. He hasn't put a foot wrong out there as Enem Ahmed the moment, and I think the perfect run for Verone has ended, because I think he's just picked up an off track. I saw a naughty red flash for Verone.
That'll be his first of this evening, I think, for Nico Verone. He has been very well behaved, but it looks as though Enem Ahmed is on course for his first win of the season. There goes Nico Verone. Yes, 1 single off track for him so far. The only driver that I think hasn't had an off track is the race leader again. Albeit no, Kieran Vernon hasn't, down in 4th place. He's been staying within the circuit limits. As for the teams championship, well, I suspect, and again, I haven't done the maths, but Douglas Motorsport, Chris Dittman and Lannan are all going to be hugely close to each other. It's whether, having started this evening down in 3rd in the team championship, whether Douglas Motorsport have overhauled the Chris Dittman racing team and Lannan Racing. We'll try and get some confirmation of that. Here is Harrison Scott in 3rd place, potentially on course to finish runner-up in this championship. Over the start-finish line he'll go. The top 3 now all onto their final lap of the race. There's a little bit of traffic that will need to be dealt with here by Enem Ahmed, and that is going to be Max Maserati's car as they head down through the Craner curves. Max Maserati in the all-white car, where the livery hasn't quite uploaded into iRacing correctly, and he's going to stay neatly out of the way. So Enem Ahmed, no such worries, able to work his way through the traffic. Sensible driving there from Max Maserati. He doesn't want to get involved, does he, on the final lap of the season?
Exactly, he's carrying rear wing damage as well. That's definitely not straight on the rear of Max Maserati's car. But Enam Ahmed is the final lap of the final race of the final round of the British F3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. It's been a fantastic championship. Enam Ahmed is at the moment going to round it out with a win and his first win of the championship and keep that run of Nico Verona being the only one to have won more than one race this season. Enam Ahmed comes down to the final corner, gets a twitch on into the curb, but he can't afford to spin it. Callum O'Keefe is right there ready to pick up the pieces as they come to the last corner at Goddard's. The 2017 BRDC Formula 3 champion comes through the last corner, and he is going to secure a win in the final round. Enam Ahmed crossed the line. He wins race 2 in Donington. Callum O'Keefe is on the podium for the first time. Harrison Scott drives from the back row to 3rd place. Kieran Vernon will get 4th. Nico Verona is 5th, but we've got to keep an eye on Piers Pryor. Where is he going to finish? It should just be 9th. I don't think he's going to gain any spots here. And he's very close to the back of Elise Tapau. They come to the last corner. It's not quite enough. Bart Horston comes across the line for 7th. Elise Tapau in 8th. And Piers Pryor is in 9th. And by Mark's maths, it's going to be Harrison Scott in 2nd in the championship.
It is, I'm sure it is. Harrison Scott was on 167 coming into that race. Add 24 to that. That makes it 191. Piers Pryor was on 178 coming into that race. He finished in 9th position. That would net him 12 points, which means that by one single point, he has not quite got to 191 points of Harrison Scott. So he finishes 3rd, subject to official confirmation, in the championship. But what a championship it has been. We heard from Giles Butterfield earlier on, who's the Group Operations and Engineering Manager for Motorsport Vision and BRDC Formula 3 and Palmer Sport as well, about what himself and Claire Britcher and Tom Aaron and all of the MSV team have done in bringing this together with the foresight of Gemma and Wayne Douglas at Douglas Motorsport, who sort of sowed the seed to start with, and with very little time to pull it all together, and the support of Apex Racing TV, we have had a wonderful, wonderful 5 weekends of racing in the inaugural British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. And I think, as Giles Butterfield alluded to, it maybe sows a seed for something that could happen in the off-season of 2020 through into 2021. But with Oulton Park, Spa, Silverstone, Brands Hatch, and here at Donington Park, the drivers have supported it, the teams have supported it. We've had some fantastic support from John Cavell, who we'll be hearing from very shortly, because he's the man, Jack, that has brought in some of these guest drivers to us. And let's remember, we have had guest drivers who aren't eligible for championship points winning races, haven't we? The likes of Johnny Adam last week, and of course Tom Ingram as well. So confirmation of the results. The final win of the season goes the way of Carlin Motorsport, and the former champion, Enam Ahmed from Callan O'Keefe, in 2nd place, and Harrison Scott in 3rd. Good haul of points that for Douglas Motorsport. Are they the team's champion? Someone will be doing the maths in the background right now, hopefully. Kieran Vernon finished in 4th place, ahead of Nico Verone, the champion for this year in the British Formula 3 iRacing Series. And Tom Gamble was in 6th place. Bart Horston, Elise Tapau in 7th and 8th place. Piers Pryor, 9th place, was just 1 place too far away from him being able to finish runner-up in the championship, so he'll finish down 3rd overall in the standings when the totals are all totted up. And Vladimir Choitz is having a good run to finish inside the top 10. Josh Skelton, Carter Williams, Tom Maxwell, Ollie Clark and Jake Dalton complete the top 15. 16th was Joss Mason, ahead of William Winst in 17th, and 18th was Jonathan Hoggard. Chris Meelan and Max Maserati complete the top 20. Then it was Nikolai Kiergaard, who had a few problems along the way. Ben Hingley, our guest driver for this evening, Jordan Albert in 23rd position, and Louis Foster retired very, very early on into the race to finish in 24th position. So that sort of concludes the championship in reality, but it's now time to chat to our top 3 drivers in the race. Once we've spoken to the top 3 drivers, we will then have the championship award to the champion driver from John Cavell as well. And we'll get a chance, hopefully, to chat to the winning team manager as well for the team that have picked up the team's trophy. So let's bring in our first driver to have a chat to us. We've had what's now 4 conversations, it will be, if we include this one, with Enam Ahmed. But Enam, congratulations. You've had a third, a couple of seconds. You're finally on the top step of the podium. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. But I seem to be a race 2 specialist, even though it is the only race 2 where I started at the front. So, yeah, happy with that. I mean, I didn't do any practice coming to this race. Just been busy this week training in West Sussex, so I really haven't been home much. So I might not have been able to do this race, but I made an effort to come back in time, and then I was not that quick, if I'm honest. But anyway, I got in the first race. I was around P9, P8 starting position, and just some people don't have very good internet, so it just ended up me getting put into the barrier like I did in Oulton Park. But then I was like, you know what, I want to end this season as a high, so I'll just stop this race and just start on pole for the next race. And it was nice, nice to win something and in this championship finally. It's been a long time coming.
Well,
And,
you won it in 2017, the real one, of course.
yeah, I mean, obviously I prefer to win the real championship. So yeah, it's great, and I hope in the off season in December time that we do another championship like this, because it's really a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it.
I was saying to Harrison Scott, it must feel a bit like a school reunion, really. Sort of you're rubbing shoulders with some of your old mates from BRDC Formula 3 a few years ago.
Yeah, I had to rub shoulders with Ben Hingley in the old hairpin in the first race, and he was my teammate. Well, we raced each other in 2017 in British F3, and he was my teammate at High Tech in European F3, and he just potted me off. But that's Ben. It's right. I said it's fine. It's only a game. And then since I'm sad it's over. I mean, I put so many hours into this game, not for this track, but in all the other tracks. And now it's just kind of finished now. And now we've got to go do the real thing. Everyone's got to go do their real championships now. So it's a bit like a last day at school kind of thing. So, yeah.
Your real championship for 2020, we'll see you FIA Formula 3?
Yeah, correct. So we head off in 2 weeks. So it's coming soon.
And where's the first round for that?
Red Bull Ring. 2 races Red Bull Ring, 1 race Hungary, and then 2 races Silverstone.
Well, we wish you all the very best with that. Jack, have you got any quick questions for our final winner of the year?
Yeah, exactly. So, Enem, of course, how overall have you enjoyed the racing? Has the racing helped you keep you sharp over the off season?
Actually, it's been quite interesting with iRacing. I never used to be a sim person before this all started, and when I started off, I was horrendous. I was like 2 seconds off, I'd say. I was never a good sim driver. But as there was nothing else to do, I've always been a very determined person, so I work really, really hard to get up to speed. And I learned a few things with how to be quick on a sim. There's also some things that I learned which I think will be really good for real life, which I never thought I'd actually learn, if I'm honest. I never took sim. I never took the sim I never used the sim as properly as I could have. And there have been some things that I've learned. Maybe not in Donington so much, because I think the track model's a bit off, but like in some other tracks with some technique with the steering and the braking, which I'm sure is going to work in real life. So I took it for granted a little bit a year ago, but I'm happy the lockdown showed me how good iRacing in particular can be. And I think it's just the competition factor racing against all the other drivers, because this also brings your level to a new height. But when you drive sim by yourself, it gets very boring and you don't really learn much. But I find when you have a competition and someone's gone, let's say, half a second quicker, it makes you work harder and find new things. And that's what happened to me. So I loved it.
Well, great that you rejoined us, anyway. We wish you all the very best in FIA Formula 3, and as you suggested, if we do it again over the course of the next winter, then we look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, thanks. See you guys.
There we go, our final race winner of the season, Enem Ahmed. Let's bring in the driver who finished in second position to chat to us. We haven't seen that much of him. He's not done the full season, but it's great that he's back again. A driver that we saw finish 6th in the championship standings back in 2017 in the BRDC Formula 3, and has just finished 2nd in the last race of the iRacing Championship. Callum O'Keefe. Callum, busy old race that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a period at the start after I got past Jordan where I thought I'd be able to make a bit of an inroads into an arms gap there, but I got a slowdown penalty through the S's a couple of laps later, and then yeah, I wasn't really chipping away enough, unfortunately. I could have done with a bit more excitement, but yeah, happy to take home a 2nd place. Obviously, only doing a couple of weekends and predominantly focusing on my coaching stuff through School of Send. It's not really I've not really had the max amount of time to put everything into it. So happy to bring home a good result for Douglas and relive those years back in 2017.
Well, yourself and Harrison Scott have certainly, in the 2 races over the course of this evening, added well and truly to the Douglas Motorsport points tally.
Yeah, I mean, after last week where my TV went into auto shutdown when I was fighting Johnny in the reverse grid race,
oh, no.
I was just keen just to stay on track in this one. The move on Jordan, I kind of could see Bart in the distance coming, and I knew I had to time it, and thankfully he gave me room there. But yeah, happy to take home some points. I don't think it was enough to grasp the team's title in the end, so congrats to CDR, but obviously Wayne and the team showing a great showing throughout the year, and hopefully they can translate it this year on track as well.
Well, it was Wayne and I suppose Gemma at Douglas Motorsport that sowed the seed for all this to happen. Without them, we might not even be here chatting to you.
Yeah, I kind of my home sim was quite old at the start of this whole lockdown period, and throughout the course of it, it's sort of become my business. It's become where I'm looking after the drivers, where I'm coaching, and it's gotten some severe upgrades. In the first few rounds, I actually didn't have any pedals, so that's why I kind of missed out the beginning of it, and it was sort of waiting, and then it all came together for the last few rounds. So grateful it did, and grateful to get a good result there as well.
That is a racing driver excuse I've never heard before, Callan.
I could have said netcode, but that's too frequent now, isn't it?
Well done, mate. Congratulations. Jack, anything for Callan?
So obviously we're heading back to racing very, very shortly, Callan. So what are your own plans heading into now the racing season?
So to be honest with you, I don't really have anything on the table at the moment, barring some small miracle. You never know, never say never. But I'm really focusing on building my driver development program, School of Send. So we've got lots of young drivers and a couple of not so young drivers as well who are all taking the plunge into motorsport, and they're trying to learn from my mistakes and trying to help them achieve their goals and maximize their potential on track. So at the moment, that's my main focus. But who knows, if there's any free seats available, I'm definitely open in the real world and in the virtual one as well.
And can you see the sim becoming an even more integral part of driver training going forward now?
I mean, it already was. It was one of those things where if you want to go to an F1 junior team, the first level of assessment is always the sim, and that's always the one that they go back to. So since I was about 15, when I was part of Red Bull back in the day, it was always a tool for me that I used, and I really hope that more drivers will utilize it because it's a really cost-effective way of doing thousands and thousands of laps, and also refining what you're doing. If you've got a specific purpose for it, if you're focusing on your quali runs, race runs, consistency, the sky's the limit as to how you can improve, and the level at which it's at now even something like iRacing, it's almost as good as being inside the car. So let's hope drivers continue to utilize it even when they go back to the real world, and hopefully it means that we see a much higher level of racing back on track when it all kicks off again.
Thanks, Callan. Great to chat to you. All the very best for the things you're up to in 2020. We'll bring in our third place driver now as well, and if I've got the maths right, Harrison Scott, I think you are the vice champion, the runner-up by one single point from Piers Pryor. That being the case, well done, mate.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just chime in? I've just had the count. I think it went on count back to Piers Pryor. It was a tie at the very end. So Piers Pryor with his win. So Harrison Scott, unfortunately, you're third.
Brilliant.
you were third with just one hand.
Yeah. I mean, I scored 0 points in round one. So had that not been the outcome in round one, then I think obviously there could have been even the possibility of battling Nico for the championship. So yeah, I think coming away from there with 0 points and then ending P3 is obviously a good result. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the team championship there in that round, but I think we probably run CDR quite close. But obviously, fair play to them.
2020, hopefully we'll get going soon. We've not seen as much of you racing over the course of the last few years. Are we going to see you back behind the wheel a bit more in the future, Harrison? Or
no, as you say, yeah, it's been a horrible couple of years, really. Obviously, not being in a racing seat. I think I've been driving from the age of 9, and obviously hit 24 this year, and I had a good kind of 13 years in the seat, and the last sort of couple of years have been really tough. Sponsorship wise, once I kind of fell off the ladder, obviously it's then hard to kind of pick up the sponsorships, and so I've been just really focusing on kind of a lot of coaching work and working with some great young talent in karting, and also in cars. So that's kind of where my ethos has been, and obviously being 24 now, you kind of have to think about your future and stuff. As much as I would love to be racing cars every day, that's just obviously budget always comes out on top. So
yeah, and I suppose in with the world the way it's looking at the moment, then that's going to be an even bigger problem, isn't it? For not just for you, but for all young drivers.
No, exactly. And I think obviously what's kind of happened in this lockdown period with the esports has been great, because it's pushed that other avenue out. I've been able to get back racing and doing what I love, obviously in a virtual world, and it's been brilliant. The competition's very high. Everyone seems to be running lots of championships, and to a very high standard as well. So it brings back the whole element of having competition again, which I've kind of missed the last 2 years, and I'm enjoying this side of it.
Excellent. Anything, Jack?
Can we expect you to continue driving with one hand in the future? You seem to keep the pace pretty well with one hand.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to get two hands back on it. I don't think I shouldn't be too far away really. Just still missing a little bit of strength and also kind of movement in it. But yeah, obviously it's been quite a challenge driving one hand. It just mainly not being able to push to the maximum limits. As soon as I start to lose the car, there's kind of no real catch or save in it. So it's been hard driving around that, but I've been enjoying it. It's been a tough challenge. But yeah, I'll be happy to get two wheels back on the wheel.
Well, good to chat to you, Harrison. Well done. Congratulations. And just unfortunate you missed out by count back in the end.
Yeah, need to win some races next time.
Well done. It's been great having you along. There we go. So that is the driver that finished in what was third place in the race, but ultimately third place in the championship as well. We can now start to bring in our champion to chat to, and also the man who will be presenting the trophies to both the overall championship winning driver and the championship winning team as well. A little bit of feedback. Somebody just turn the volume down a little bit in the background. That would be great with whoever's joined us in the commentary box. So that, I think that's you, John, is it? Just volume down in the background to whatever you're listening on the device. So let's bring in Nico Verone. Nico, congratulations. We spoke briefly about, we thought you got the championship stitched up in race number 1, and we can now confirm you're the inaugural champion.
Hi guys, yeah, thank you. I'm really happy. This means a lot for me. It was a lot of hard work, and yeah, starting race 2, I was really focused on getting those points to also get the team championship. That was really important for Chris and all the team. So yeah, we managed to do a P4 and P5 with Kieran. Yeah, take some really good points and crown as team champions as well.
So I'm going to ask John Cavill now, who is going to present the Jack Cavill Trophy virtually to our champion. John, a few words from you, because without all of your hard work, amongst many other people, it wouldn't have happened, and we've crowned a very worthy champion.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, Nico. And I look forward to seeing you at Oulton Park, if not testing before then. It's been a great championship, and thank you to everybody who's been involved. There's just a lot of people involved. It's been great, and maybe we do something in the winter, but let's get back to some real racing now. And congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you, Nico, at Oulton Park.
Well, thank you, John, and yeah, this means a lot. So yeah, really thank you to you and all the BRDC British F3 for this great championship. And yeah, hope to see you on testing, or if not in the first race in August.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
There we go. So congratulations, Nico Verone. We've still got in the commentary we did have. He's just gone. Chris Dittman was there, and he's just disappeared. We were going to have a chat to our winning team. He's gone back into the waiting room, so let's bring him back in. So now we can have a chat to the winning team manager. Chris, congratulations. You have found yourself with Nico Verone and Kieran Vernon and everybody else as well at Chris Dimon Racing, Josh Skelton. A good team here, certainly in iRacing, and hopefully a strong team heading into the 2020 season for real.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great championship. Nico has by far been the star. I think throughout the whole championship, his pace has been rapid. So to come away with the win is great for him. But also, big well done to both Kieran and Josh, who obviously worked together, and we've got the team championship as well. So yeah, really, really pleased. A lot less stressful, with the iRacing rather than real life. But yeah, really good fun watching it. And big thanks to everyone involved.
You've enjoyed it as well. Does it make you, because obviously you're a racing driver yourself, does it make you want to maybe, if we do it again next year, get involved in a competitive basis?
Yeah, well, I've already done a bit myself. We've got a sim at the workshop. We've had a number of years, and I've actually got into a bit of sim racing myself, sort of alongside the other drivers. I've got a race myself actually tonight, so it's good to be involved, as well. So you know how hard it is. It is a very difficult thing to look at. Everyone looks, watching it looks very easy, but actually it's needs a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of dedication by the drivers. So yeah, I know firsthand how hard it is actually. So yeah, big well done to the whole team.
Does this win for your driver albeit a virtual championship, and the win for the team, does that then mean there's more pressure on in the real world when we get racing at Oulton Park?
There's no more pressure. I think it's we're all going to be going to Oulton Park with the same plan. Is to win. That's why we do it. And that's why as a team we're here to win, and the drivers are as well. So.
Oh,
we lost him.
We've lost them again.
Was it something we said? Chris Dittman appears to have disappeared, but yeah, it was good to catch up with him. John, we were going to ask you to present the team's trophy virtually to Chris Dittman, but maybe just a few words about the team's involvement, because we've spoken to lots of drivers. We haven't, other than Chris, spoken to any team managers, but without them, and particularly Wayne Douglas, the man behind Douglas Motorsport, and Gemma, without them sowing the seed, it wouldn't have happened.
No, you're right. It's been great to see virtually all the teams back in it with drivers, some with new drivers, some with the drivers they've run previously, and the ones that they'll run this season. So it's been very, very good. Congratulations to Chris. Again, we'll do his award up at Oulton Park. And they've put a lot of effort, just as everybody has. But I think it's been a great success, and I think it's been the right number of race meetings and done excellently well.
Well, thanks, John. Thanks for all of your help and support as well, and we look forward to seeing you at Oulton Park, John.
Yeah. Okay. If not before.
If not before. There we go, John and Nico Veroni. Well done, mate. We wish you all the very best. We'll see you up at Oulton Park.
Well, I think I'm gonna miss these Sundays, but yeah, I hope to be back in the real world as soon as possible and get back into the car. That is what I'm looking for.
Very well done, a worthy champion. There we go. And then we've got one more driver that I want to bring in. I think it was because we've got guest drivers that aren't eligible for championship points, and therefore my maths slightly went to pot. But Piers Pryor joins us in commentary. You just need to come off mute, Piers, if you possibly could. And by the skin of your teeth, runner-up in the championship. Well done.
Is that confirmed? Because I thought I'd just lost out. I did a quick calculation for the race, and again, it might have been wrong because I did it in my head. But if that's true, then brilliant. Because I was so worried.
You did the same maths as me, Piers. I got you on 190 and Harrison Scott on 191. But Jack Canaan has come in with some amendments to us because somebody in the background who are cleverer than you and I, Piers, has done some maths. And on countback, Jack, you say that he's second?
Yeah, exactly. So you ended up on a tie, and because you'd won a race, you got the second place. So it was that close. So that the position gains you made later on obviously were really key.
Yeah, obviously I knew in that race because obviously I was right behind. I was behind Harrison after about a lap 1 or 2 because obviously I checked up when everyone spun on the first corner, and he managed to sneak through and got a couple of places ahead. And I'd done some quick maths in my head before the race to know roughly how many places I needed to be behind him. And then he kept getting away, and then I had a touch with I can't remember who at the first corner on lap 3, which sent me round, which was and I was like no, please wait, why now? But no, I think, and then from there I was just concentrating on smashing laps in because I knew that people would fall down the field, I knew there'd be incidents, and I knew that there was slower drivers ahead that I could catch, and I managed to pass about 3 or 4 people. I knew that I'd be on the cusp, but hopefully I've got it. If I haven't, then Harrison, I think to be honest, has been deserving of second place in the championship. He's been on fire especially the last 3 rounds. Was he 2 podiums last weekend, 2 podiums this weekend. He's been rapid. Even I think he's actually gone better since he broke his wrist. But it's been really, really, really good fun. I've enjoyed the championship. It's been something to do. Been good fun. And if I come third, then I'm still pretty happy with that. But second would be amazing. And yeah, and hopefully we can carry on that good form into the real season.
If you have finished in second place, and I'm just looking at the Excel spreadsheet that Jack picked up on, which confirms, exactly the same number of points, you win it on countback. But that being the case, surely you need to be, next time you see him, buying Vladimir Choitsis a pint, because he sort of gave you that last place that you needed very easily, I would say, with a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, I think he got a slowdown, one of the track penalties, from what I saw, which again was. Which he handed me that extra point, which could have made the difference. I'd like to say I would have caught him anyway, but you can never say these things either way. But no, yeah, really, really good driving from Nico throughout the season. I think he's a deserving champion. He's been pretty much the man to beat every round, every session he's been up there. He's been, almost not put a foot wrong the whole season. Harrison's done really, really well. He's been rapid the last couple of rounds and been exceptional in the second race of both when getting through the field. So there's to be even in amongst those guys is I'm quite proud of. But again, hopefully this relates to the real world. We shall have to see quite soon.
Yeah, I think Nico Veroni's the only driver that's won more than one race all season. You're talking about the real world. You must be, and we've mentioned it a few times, but for you, of all of the drivers that we've got in the 2020 BRDC Formula 3 Championship, you must be like a kid in a sweet shop, because it is going to be your first full season of racing. It's been a long time coming, and you will no doubt relish it, enjoy it, and grasp every opportunity it presents you with.
Oh, I'm going to make every single, make the most of it in every single way I can throughout the year. I'm as prepared as I can be so far, other than obviously a bit of testing we can do. I'm going to be physically ready, mentally ready, and then hopefully the team. Well, I know the team Lana are there to give me the equipment to do so. I can't wait to get on circuit. Today was actually the first time I've been on track in real life since probably pre-season testing in February, March. I went to Wilton Mill today and had a little 30-minute blat in a Club 100 kart. So that's sort of really whet my appetite to get in the car. I think we're testing starting again soon in F3 with Lannon. So yeah, shame that Lannon didn't manage to hold on to our lead in the team's championship either. But I imagine we're probably third.
I think they were third in the end. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So by CDR and Douglas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, they both of them had a strong round the last one, but no, really good fun. Thanks obviously to everyone that helped put it on the BRDC F3, you guys as well. It's been an Apex Racing. It's been really good to be able to have all my mates and all my family and friends at home watch the races, watch what I'm doing, and give them something to get themselves revved up and ready to watch me in real life in the rest of the season, and hopefully they've enjoyed it as much as I've been part of it.
There we go. Well, thanks, Piers. I look forward to catching up with you for the first time. It seems as though we know.
Yeah, I know.
At Oulton Park. Yeah, all the best.
Yeah, cheers. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks very much. Bye.
There we go. So there's Piers Pryor, and I am just now going to bring in both Chris Dittman and John Cavell again, because we lost Chris Dittman part of the way through, just as we were about to virtually present you with the team award. So Chris Dittman, congratulations on the team award. John Cavell, could you virtually present Chris Dittman with the team award for the inaugural British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV?
Certainly. Congratulations, Chris. Well done. It was really tight at the end, which made it exciting, but well done. And we'll have to do the award up at Oulton Park, which we'll do at the beginning of August. So I look forward to seeing you. Maybe I can get along to some testing. Well, I can. Just let me know when.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you.
And well done. And well done to everybody again. Thank you.
The check's in the post, I assume, yeah? Thank you.
Of course. Isn't it cash as normal?
Oh, that's fine, yeah. Thanks, John.
Well done, Chris. Thanks, John. So that's it then, Jack. We sort of travelled our way virtually around the UK. We've dipped a toe in the water at Belgium as well, at Spa, and that brings to a close the first ever racing season of the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV. Some positives coming out of the way the world has been for the last few months has seen an enormous growth in iRacing, enormous interest in our championship as well, and it's given me the opportunity to work with you for the first time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same goes. It's been my pleasure to kind of dip my toe into the kind of the British F3 scene as well, getting an idea of how things are run as well. And all of us over here at Apex TV have really obviously it's been a pleasure to bring you all the action. And big thanks, of course, to Samuli, who's working hard in the background on the cameras, bringing up all the graphics, and all the team, Lee and Sam, who've been working really hard as well. Of course, to Claire and to all the people behind the scenes, because they've put in some serious effort behind the scenes.
And to Mark, who dropped in last minute in place of Samuli last week when we had a few tech issues. Thank you to him as well. But no, it's been a pleasure working with you guys. And maybe a few final thoughts on the championship that's unfolded in front of us over the course of the last 5 weeks, Jack.
Exactly. So we've been all around the UK, and a trip to Spa as well. Only Nico Veroni has been one that's been able to win more than one race, and it came back to help him. Of course, he won the title in race number 1. We've had, of course, Louis Foster taking victory all the way back in Oulton Park. We had Ulysse de Pauw winning on home soil in Spa. We've had, of course, Piers Pryor taking a win, and of course, he now, I think, holds the record of being the only driver to have not raced in BRDC F3, but also having taken a win in BRDC F3 within reason. So it's been great to see all the drivers getting out on track once again in the tough times that we're facing at the moment, and we're all really looking forward to seeing everybody back out on the real circuit very, very shortly. And it's been my pleasure to be part of the commentary team alongside Mark as well.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. And that's it. They say the cream rises to the top. Well, in the case of Nico Verone, it certainly has. The only driver to have won more than one race. He won 4 races over the course of the season. And as a result of starting at the back of the grid for race number 2, he's managed to finish 5th on 3 occasions off the back of the grid and 4th on the other. So a deserved champion. Congratulations to Nico Verone. Well done to all of the drivers that have supported this initiative. Thank you to everybody at MSVR and Apex Racing TV. It's been an absolute pleasure. But from all of us here at the British Formula 3 iRacing Championship in association with Apex Racing TV, I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be racing for real very soon. But until then, goodbye.